camera pans across the exterior of Independence Hall, Philadelphia, on a sunny day. The scene is calm, with tourists milling about. Hey everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Today, we're standing in a place where history wasn't just made, it was whispered into existence. This is Independence Hall in Philadelphia. Right now, it's a peaceful, historic site. But imagine traveling back to the sweltering summer of 1776. This quiet square would have been buzzing, not with tourists, but with tension, debate, and the monumental weight of a nation's future. Cut to interior shots of the assembly room, focusing on the empty chairs and the rising sun chair. We all have this grand picture in our heads, right? Powdered wigs, heroic poses, John Hancock signing his name with a flourish. We see the confidence, the certainty. But what if I told you that one of the most powerful forces in this room wasn't boldness, but doubt? The story we often miss is the one that happened in the silence between the speeches. Show artistic renderings or reenactments of the Second Continental Congress in session, looking serious and contemplative. Before the Declaration of Independence was a celebrated document, it was a terrifying proposition. The men gathered in this very room were British subjects. They had families, businesses, and lives that were about to be put on the line. Declaring independence wasn't just a political statement, it was an act of treason. The punishment for treason: death. Think about that for a second. Every signature on that parchment was a potential death warrant. Close up on a replica of the Declaration of Independence, then pan across the signatures. So, when the delegates gathered, the air wasn't filled with unanimous cheers. It was thick with hushed, anxious conversations. Can we really win a war against the most powerful empire on earth? What happens to us if we fail? Are we ready to govern ourselves? These were the questions that echoed in the minds of men like John Adams, Benjamin Franklin, and Thomas Jefferson. They weren't just politicians, they were revolutionaries, wrestling with the enormity of their decision. Show a dramatic slow-motion shot of a quill pen hovering over parchment. The most dramatic moment wasn't a loud, booming speech. It was the quiet, agonizing pause before the first quill touched the paper. It was the collective deep breath a small group of colonies took before they decided to stand up to a king. In that silence, they weren't just thinking of themselves. They were thinking about their children and their children's children. They were imagining a future that didn't exist yet, a nation conceived in liberty. Return to shots of the assembly room, now filled with soft, warm light. That's what makes this place so special. It's not just a museum of old furniture. The very air in this room holds the echoes of that courage, the courage to move forward despite overwhelming fear. When the delegates finally walked out of these doors, they hadn't won a war. They hadn't secured their freedom. All they had done was make a promise to each other and to future generations that they would fight for an ideal. Cut back to the host standing outside Independence Hall. So, if you ever get the chance to visit, take a moment to just stand and listen. Look past the crowds and the tour guides. Try to hear the faint whispers of history, the whispers of doubt that gave way to resolve, the whispers that grew into the resounding voice of a new nation. It's a powerful reminder that sometimes the biggest changes in the world begin not with a bang, but with a quiet, determined whisper. Thanks so much for joining me on this journey back in time. If you enjoyed this video and want to explore more hidden stories from history, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. Let me know in the comments what historic place we should visit next. See you in the next one.